Hey everyone, how's it going? Last year I reviewed the comic Mr. Higgins Comes Home. There was another comic I wanted to review alongside it, but unfortunately the comic wasn't out yet, and by the time it was out, I wasn't able to get it. Had a hold up for a while, but now I finally have it, that being its sequel, Our Encounter with Evil.
The previous book, Mr. Higgins Comes Home, was amazing. It was a great start to the series, and after it's left on an insane note where it seemed that we were going to see our heroes face the forces of hell itself, we unfortunately aren't going to be getting that here.
What, are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, does anything get talked about?
Well, let's see how that turned out.
Warning, spoilers. Unlike the previous story where we follow one big adventure with these characters, this is an anthology. Starting with the prologue, The Death of Lady Ruthven shows our heroes in the middle of a chase. There, they are assisted by fellow vampire hunter Miss Mary Van Sloan on capturing and slaying a vampire named Lady Ruthven of the aforementioned title. And of course, the title does not lie, and they succeed in killing her. Next, we see the aftermath in The Lost Duke Kurds, where we learn that the vampire that they just slayed was trying to reach a castle that belonged to the Lost Duke Kurds. A vampire apparently so evil that it'd make Carmilla go, what the hell? Now, Kurds mysteriously disappeared 400 years ago, but the fact that a vampire just showed up at one of his castles did make things a little suspicious, making them believe that this could mean he's resurfaced. The duo head off to confirm this, and though they do deal with a band of bandits stealing their equipment, they at least end up in a quiet town where they find the aforementioned bandits dead. And after going to a local tavern, they quickly learn what killed the bandits. Yeah, it turns out the village is run by vampires, and of course without their gear, intend to escape and continue their mission. But is this town truly what it seems and linked to Kurtz? The next story, Blackwater, has them reunite with Salone, who was in the middle of capturing these creatures that Meinhardt would describe as child-sized man-bats.
At some point, I should review a man-bat comic.
The creatures break free, and they are revealed to be fragments of two bitter vampire enemies, who in their last battle tore each other apart, but instead of dying from their wounds, each of their body parts turned into the bat creatures.
Wow, hating someone so much that even being torn apart, your body parts will continue hating them. Steve better be proud.
The creatures' plans are to reunite and finally kill each other, but well, I'll just say it's hilarious. The final story of the anthology, Siegfried, is where our main character is a wolfman who, unlike Mr. Higgins from the first book, has a full control of his wolf form, and in fact stays in the form constantly. He's a hunter who hunts other monster hunters, a monster hunter if you will, and unbeknownst to Meinhardt and Knox, he has chosen them as his next prey. How does he do it? Will they survive? Does any of the crap from the first book come back?
Actually, just gotta read the book to find out.
This was a great anthology and a fun sequel to Mr. Higgins Comes Home. Unlike the first story, Mignola wasn't involved in this one, or at least wasn't the head writer of the story. He did the cover as well, but instead it was solely done by Warwick Johnson Cadwell. I gotta say he really captured Mignola's style, at least where it matters. It still contains some elements of humor and horror. It left me laughing during this read. Still, I'm sure Mignola left some notes when it comes to the lore, but either way, the lore continues to be fascinating, especially with the last story with it using a second species of werewolf and how some of them operate outside the standards monsters attacking humans, plus the werewolf being my favorite monster. It also continues to pay tribute to classic vampire tales, the prologue being a good example since it was pretty much how Bram Stoker's Dracula novel ended. And, much like many stories I like, it played with my expectations, with the twist being both funny and also pretty interesting. The greatest example being the Lost Duke Kurtz story. If I had any complaints, it would be the characters. Don't get me wrong, Cadwell, I'm no way saying is bad at writing them, but I felt like we didn't really develop them as much as I feel like they should have after being the supporting characters in the first book. They're still hilarious, and how they react to the supernatural along with their back and forth are pretty interesting, but I feel like we could have learned more about them, like how'd they meet, or what led to Meinhardt becoming a vampire hunter, something like that. I know this was an anthology and there were pretty short stories, but with how Blackwater and Siegfried focused on 2 original characters in such great fashion, I feel like we should have gone something more crucial for the characters that are the main focus of the series. Mary Van Sloan comes off as a bit of the muscle when working with Meinhardt and Knox, with her being the more inclined to jump into action and quick to the draw, though also meaning she also takes a lot of damage since she does get injured after the prologue with Ruth Vane's henchmen. As for Mary's personality, with what we do get, there is a sense that she is very much a lover of combat, and there's actually a funny bit with her in Blackwater near the end regarding what happens with the vampires, but also shows that much like Meinhardt, she is a scholar and her own research helps the duo on their missions, and even hints on what we might see in their next adventure. Finally, we come to the main character of the final story, the Hunter, who is definitely the most fascinating, with him essentially doing what Meinhardt and Knox do, but in the reverse. He talks in such a proper way, yet still performing such horrific acts to lure Meinhardt and Knox. I really do hope we see more of these kind of hunters in this series. As for the supporting cast, they're all great, and I just have to say that much like Mr. Higgins Comes Home, we'll be right at home with What We Do in the Shadows. Cadwell's art is still perfect for this story, with its way of juggling these clashing tones of fun comedy to gruesome horror. There's not too much I can say that I didn't already say in the previous story, except that he definitely shows off more of his more detailed horrific style, with stories like Blackwater, in a way that I will not spoil, except that it was probably one of the most coolest moments to see in the whole comic. On a whole, I really enjoyed this story, and I got a good laugh. Honestly, I just wish we fleshed out the characters more, but maybe we'll get that in the sequel. For now, I definitely still say give this series a shot.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and next time, I'm going to be continuing with my favorite horror movie monster, but in a place that seems to deal with some really weird crap despite its premise.
Later. Well, Ash, I'm gonna start editing. Hey, before you go, can I borrow your credit card? Why? Well, I want to get like a skateboard or something. I need to move around, dude. I'm tired of either having to drag my ass around or having to ask you to carry me. Look, I'll look into it myself. Hey, Bizarro, get back here. Damn it. There's something in here that can actually help. Let's see here. Hello, what's this? Yikes. Only a faith only a mother can love. Hey Ash, you're not getting my stuff, right? No.